folks.
Transparent aluminum.
That's right. Hi, folks, and welcome to the Saturday Morning Samoflange.
I'm Benjamin.
I'm Matt.
Welcome.
And that was Star Trek 4.
Star Trek 4 quote we were doing.
I forgot to plug the mics in.
Matt tried to speak into his mic by saying, computer. Hello, computer.
And then Chekhov points to that little speaker. He grabs it.
The mice. He picks up the mouse.
The mouse. Computer. He thinks it's there. We need the nuclear vessels.
All he needs is to give him the formula to transparent aluminum. And he says, you realize that by giving him the formula, we may be altering the future. He says, hi, how do we know he didn't invent the thing? Oh, yeah, good idea.
Yeah, good point.
Boom. Star Trek logic resolves time travel paradox there. Done.
Boom. The prime directive broken.
Forget that.
Right there. Out the window. Out the window.
Didn't exist in Kirk's time anyway. Temporal prime directive.
Well, actually, he's the reason I think it did exist.
Did it? Yeah, you're right.
He made the rule.
That's a good point.
I think he invented the time. It's like, we need to do a prime directive. Kirk is just messing things up.
Too wild.
He's messing things up.
Speaking of old school videos and movies and TV shows, that's the subject of today's.
That's a good segue. I didn't know where you go.
Top five
comeback classics.
Comeback classics. This is like a wish list, though.
If you recall, when we were doing our top 5 movies that we were looking forward to this year, I cheated and I said comeback classics because honestly, that is what I'm looking forward to above anything.
That was your number one.
That's my number one, and it's a cheat. It's a cheat in a way. But the thing is,
the system is down.
Yeah,
the system. I'm think about it every time.
I want to. It's that's funny. Not the cheat. It is a cheat. But I was serious about that because I can't wait to see what other movies are coming. Because we got to see a bunch of them together.
We did,
and.
I mean, but just seeing Die Hard was a delight. Seeing the
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was an absolute pleasure. Seeing Halloween with Megan was wonderful. I loved it.
Yeah, and we saw The Shining. I don't think you're a Shining.
I didn't see that. I like The Shining. I didn't see it until fairly recently for the first time ever.
Okay. No, you were gone. That was when you were gone.
Mm-hmm. I didn't see The Shining with you.
Okay, that's right. So, but we got to see
But what a great movie to see, though.
Yeah, but we got to see some comeback classics. And I'm like, okay, I want to see more.
And I remembered you talking about whether or not you would go up into the cabin in the woods for like however many millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And whether or not you would do it. How would you not? So many people, I think, are just like, of course I would do that.
I had to be honest. Megan
said no.
Megan said no, and I think I was up to $650,000.
That's crazy.
I wasn't going crazy like $1 million.
You would negotiate for $650K,
but you do have to be cut off from the world.
Yeah,
was the rule.
Do you know how many people?
Cell phones don't work.
Would be fine with that?
I take it. But you know what? I take it, and I'd want a little bit more. I'd want 100,000 probably.
You know, a lot of people
would
pay somebody to be able to have that much.
To have that much time, and then to be in that area and to be just have
That's
that whole
beautiful.
place to yourself.
That's gorgeous.
Sleeping in a different room every night.
You know, I've been to that hotel where they filmed that scene. Yep.
Yeah.
It's up in Oregon.
Oh, is that where
it's in Washington?
Oregon.
Because they use different spots for the exterior and interior. But I've been to the hotel where they film the interior, at least.
And that's Washington, Oregon.
Or it's in Oregon or somewhere in Washington.
And the movie
I can't remember where
Colorado,
exactly.
Right?
I mean, we could look it up on IMDb real quick.
I'm just saying the movie can say it's anywhere.
I think the exterior. Oh yeah, you're right. Where the story takes place.
Yeah, the story takes place in Colorado, right?
I think it was.
I mean, but that's the move. I mean,
but the hotel interior, they've got a little gift shop up there and everything. Like they know that people come there just for that, scene to see where it was shot.
My favorite fake scene for a movie was Battle for Los Angeles, New Orleans.
Sounds fantastic.
That was great.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So, crossover wise, I think this is going to have to... I'm going to go 0 because we
there's
basically...
too many. There's way too many.
It's a wish list.
I'll just say one.
And we could go anywhere with
I'll just say one just to throw one out there. But to be honest, I'm probably going to agree with a lot of yours that I didn't think about.
Oh, of course. That's exactly what I was thinking, too.
There's going to be ones that we didn't think about that we're like, what? And then there will be some that you want to see because it means a lot to... Because I have...
That's precisely why I have my number 1 and my number 2.
I have about 3 on here that I'm like, there's no way you have these, but I have them just because I love them.
It's sentimental.
Yeah, sentimental. That's what this is going to be.
So in a way, it's a personal-ish sort of top 5.
Yeah.
Just sort of a dream list. What we want. So if somebody who works for Cinemark, or whatever the movie theaters are,
they said they're pursuing extra actions, and
right.
they're planning on keeping it for this year as well.
So I hope that they're... Okay, I'm going to save that for the podcast. I had a thought, but it's a thought that I wanted to save for this. So,
all right, I can go first. I don't care.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go first here. Number 5.
Number 5.
Big Lebowski.
Big Lebowski.
The Dude Abides.
Now, why do you want to see that in the movie theater?
It's something personal.
Okay.
When Big Lebowski came out, I was actually working in the mall. My friends went to go see it. I was having to work that night because I usually work Friday and Saturday nights at the mall. And they came out, and I said, please tell me how it is. And they came back and said, how was it? And the girl said, it was awful. I said, really? I said, it was terrible. I said, no way. I really wanted to see that movie. And she goes, no, don't go see it. Don't see it. So I was really bummed. Well, when it came out for Blockbuster to rent, I was like, yeah, well, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to ruin it because I said, I just
you skipped it on this
the movie looked so good. I skipped on that thing.
It. Okay.
Yes, who hate they both girls absolutely hated it.
So you got 2 who hated it. Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, and sometimes if your friends say it's no good, don't say you avoid.
You're kind of like, yeah, whatever.
You go, okay, I won't go. And I was pissed.
Because it was so good when you saw it.
They had some. They had the movie you could rent, and then they had some buy it nows for like $7.99. Just some of their extra. After it had come off of the new release shelf, they always had extra copies. Instead of getting rid of them, they started selling them for a discounted price. At $7.99 for a new movie. I was like, that's $5. It's $4.99 for a video, so $7.99. That's cheaper than the $15 for a new movie.
Man,
they sell it for half off.
How the world has changed.
But I remember we watched it and I went, okay. And I took it and they said, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Blockbuster. I'm going to buy one of those previewed copies. Because I had to have it. I had to own it. I said,
like the same day?
And I
same day you saw it?
That night I went back to Blockbuster, turned in the movie, and then bought it.
Wow.
I did that a lot. If they had the preview copy, I'd always go buy it. Well, that was the cheaper way.
Whatever happened to your VHS collection?
It's gone. There's maybe 1 or 2 cases up in the attic.
Do you remember what might have happened? Or you've got cases still in the attic.
Yeah, but there's not that many things in there. Whatever I got a DVD for, probably got thrown away.
No.
And then whatever I couldn't find a DVD for, or just couldn't get rid of, I held on to.
And like as now, or as I do, my physical media collection are the ones that mean more to me usually. Yeah. And so I'm collecting like the 4K movies because I have the 4K TV and they upgrade and all that stuff. But your DVD shelf is a lot like mine too, because it's the movies that actually are the TV shows that actually mean something to you. Like
while it was becoming a cult classic, I got the Suncoast Video Special Edition Army of Darkness VHS Special Edition cover or whatever.
Wow. I just saw Carrie's up there. They just had a Bruce Campbell live watching Evil Dead with Bruce Campbell streaming event.
Shut the front door.
Yeah, so you could sit and watch it, and he reacts to it as you're watching the movie, like you're watching it with Bruce Campbell.
Wow,
how great is that?
Those are the only DVD commentaries that you should watch. That you sit through. It's hilarious. Really? Bruce Campbell makes fun of you as you're watching. He makes fun of the video.
He's like, why are you watching this?
He talks about how the fog was an oil-based substance back then. It was very. He said when I'm coughing up a lung, I have Sam to thank for that. I mean, he's joking. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, here comes the ink into the water and covers the moon. That's how the magic's made. And as you know, the moon covers in a perfectly square box. Because, he's making fun of the cheap effects.
We're back in the aquarium again. I remember that.
And he's like, and if you pause it, my favorite part was in Evil Dead. He said, now, the scene's coming up with Cheryl. If you pause it just right, to make her cry, we peeled an onion in front of her, and one of the bits of onion fell on her cheek. But you got to pause it just right. Here comes the scene, and it shows the girl going, hee hee hee. Yeah. Well, then we couldn't see. We couldn't see it. I was like, where is it? What frame? We went frame by frame. I was like, maybe it's not this scene. So she laughs, and then it goes back to the other scene with Bruce Campbell, like in all horror. The movie, looking at it. He goes, bunch of putzes, bet you paused it too. No, it was great. It was a joke by Bruce Campbell, and it was hilarious.
And he got him.
It was hilarious.
That's great. I got to see him a couple of times live in New Orleans, and he did a TV show like that at Comic-Con, and they started doing, because he riffs with people like that constantly. And when I got to meet him at New Orleans Comic-Con too, like I asked if he would punch me in the face, and for the picture that we took together, and I got him to sign it later, and I asked him if he would write "This is my boomstick" on on it, and he did.
Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
before he did, I got to the front of the line, and he looked. I made the request, and then he looked at me, and he looked at the crowd that was still waiting in line to get his autograph, and then he held it up, and he says, "Yeah, you see this picture of me punching this guy in the face? That's what happens when he messes with me. Any of you want to mess with me? This is what's going to happen. All right, this is the evidence." And he was just like making, ripping everybody and me, and so, but he signed it, did everything that I wanted.
Guy.
We had a lot of fun. Not really.
He's a great
fun
guy.
To talk to, and you know what? And so honestly, I would say my number 6 would be Evil Dead or Army of Darkness. I would love to see that as a comeback classic.
Yeah. But for me, number 5,
Big Lebowski.
You know, you don't cross line. Did you know they made a spinoff of that movie?
No, I didn't.
The Jesus has his own movie.
I'm not a huge fan. I don't know anything about it.
I enjoyed the movie, but not enough to watch a Jesus movie. But,
so you haven't seen the spinoff?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I just found out about it. But the thing is, though, that movie. Have you seen Big Lebowski?
Yeah,
I thought it was hilarious.
I just love it.
Oh, I love that movie. Anyway, Over the Line. Anyway, let's go. What's number 5?
My number 5 is sort of related to current events, and we talked about it last time, but I want to see The Matrix. I don't think I ever saw The Matrix in the theater.
I did. I remember it being awesome, and yes, that is a good pick.
And
I would watch it again.
Yeah, because
in theaters.
First of all, I mean, the special effects were revolutionary at the time.
Yes.
Completely revolutionary stuff, and it would be a lot of fun. But
blew my mind.
But this is what I was going to say a minute ago that I said I was going to save, is that I'm really, really hoping that movie theaters can just use their brains and say, "Hey, Matrix 4 is coming out this year. Well, why don't we do a comeback classic and let people watch the first one and then watch the second one and then watch the third one because the fourth one's coming out."
Yeah,
and people would want to do that. And Matrix came out what, 99?
Yeah. And studios should want to do that. Top Gun should come out again.
That's exactly my point.
I mean, to be honest, studios should be like, yeah, that builds up excitement.
And
for
truly,
our movie.
like that is a huge reason it is in my top 5 is because of that.
Yeah.
The fact that Matrix 4 is coming out, and it's one of my most anticipated movies.
And to be honest, I can't remember. I can't remember all the comeback classics yet, but yeah, I totally agree.
Number 4.
Number 4. Army of Darkness.
No, it is not.
Yes, it is.
So there's our one crossover.
Yeah, there it is. We
that
crossed,
was my number 6.
We crossed into it, but for all the same reasons. I never got to see any of these movies in theaters. But if I got the chance to see one, I do remember when I first moved here, Cinemark was playing it, and I remember I didn't know what it was back then. You know, I didn't know. It was 1990.
70s.
Well, that's Evil Dead 1 and 2. Evil Dead.
What was my Army of Darkness?
Yeah,
the 80s.
Evil Dead was 1982. Evil Dead 2 was 1984 because I remember the story about Bill Paxton and James. Oh gosh,
I'm not going to be able to help you out here.
Who directed Aliens? James
Cameron.
Took a day off shooting and went and watched Evil Dead 2.
No, did they really?
Yeah. Sam Raimi says that in the DVD. He said that Bill Paxton told him about the day that James Cameron said, "I'm going to go see Evil Dead 2." And, it's out. No. So they went and watched it and they thought it was great.
That's fantastic.
And he remember Sam Raimi got told that by James Cameron when he met him. He's like, "Oh, we watched that during me and Bill."
Wow.
Or it's Bill Paxton who told him. I can't remember.
What a great
story. Yeah, he shared
moment
that.
to have.
Yeah, because they were both fans of the original and they wanted to see the new one, and they just thought it was just fun because it made fun of horror movies at the zeitgeist of horror. I mean, at the high point of horror movies, they made fun first.
Yeah,
and it was and if you look at it, the blood is never red. The blood's never red because they didn't want that
Evil Dead 2?
X rating. No, it's green,
it's
orange, it's
green,
black, it's purple, it's black. You know, it's different colors.
It's Cairo syrup, but it's not red.
But he wanted blood everywhere. But the Motion Picture Association was like, no, you can't have that. So
Interesting.
Well, if I make it green, if I make it orange, make it purple, make it
ridiculous.
Yellow.
Wow.
So really awesome stuff. But Army of Darkness is to me just great. It's great.
It's a wonderful movie.
It's awesome. And
I always smile when I watch it.
I didn't know anything about it when I saw it advertised in theaters. I saw a guy with a woman around him holding up a chainsaw, and I thought, oh, it's a family. I don't know where I got the kids from, but I thought it's a family that gets lost in the Middle Ages and has to fight their way through. I didn't know anything about the movie.
Did they not spoof the Star Wars cover for?
Yeah. They did.
And you didn't catch that?
Well, no. No. But I was just trying to guess off of what it was about.
Sure, of course.
Because you could see the car in the background. I was like, okay, they went on vacation.
And then it was Chevy Chase Family Vacation. Almost.
Yeah, it was somewhere around that. It was very similar.
I remember thinking that.
So I was thinking that that's kind of what the story was. I didn't know anything about it back then. And I would love to see that. And I would love to see in high definition.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Have they remastered that movie? I wonder if they have a high def print of it.
I don't know.
They've cleaned up.
Either way, it'd be worth doing. I don't know if I know Sam Raimi. I don't know who owns it, but I know Sam Raimi. He should be lobbying to throw Evil Dead. I mean, Army of Darkness. That would be one that everyone would swarm to the theaters. They need to consider cult classics.
Bruce has finished the reboot right on Stars. They did the TV show. They finished with that. So, I mean, why not do it now? And then you could have, that would be fun. Well, what they just did tonight on the streaming bit, like, I would love to see something like that live.
Yeah. That would be fun.
I got to see a live performance, per se, of the guys who do MST3K, Mystery Science Theater 3000. And I forget the movie because the movie's irrelevant. But the riffing was live, and I got to see that in a movie theater with a group of people. And then I can't remember we had a like an intermission, and a Q&A was at intermission with them, and instead of at the end when they knew that everybody would be ready to go home. And this is, it's like an old 50s movie where it had a real intermission, so we took a real intermission. And I think Jonathan Colton is his name. He's like he makes like spoof songs or funny songs, and he had a song that was just coming out, like no one had heard it yet, and it was the Come on inside and eat your brains, or whatever, like Eat Your Brains song, where he's like, hey, you Bob. Hey, you Tom, it's Bob from the office down the hall. Good to see you, buddy. How you been? And then he talks about how he's a zombie now and how he wants you to come out because he needs to eat your brains,
Funny.
And then he got the crowd going live. So he was live. Like, he came out on stage, and actually performed the song with the guitar and all that. And he was like, and he got the crowd like, okay, so when I do this part, then everybody sway back and forth, and you go, So the audience had to say, all we want to do is eat your brains. Whenever he did the cue line, right? So he said, anyway, it was a wonderful song, and it was just really campy and hokey, but it fed right into the spirit of Evil Dead, and it was one of the greatest moments. Awesome. And that was in Oregon. That's awesome. Yeah, it was very, very cool.
But Army of Darkness, my number 4.
Number 4, Army of Darkness.
Number 4 for you.
Number 4 for me is a bit of a play, but I chose Rocky Part 4.
I know why you chose Rocky Part 4, and I would join you in that one. You know what, though? To be honest, they did play all 4 of them in theaters every night. One a night. They played Rocky.
They played 1, 2, 3, and 4?
But I was that's when I was helping out with a show, and I can't remember what I was doing, but I was busy every night.
Wow.
And they were only doing it once. They did Rocky 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Then that was
But then they didn't play 5. And I was like, you got to play 5. You got to play about
5 would finish it off. And then,
but they played all 4 in theaters like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I was like, why just once? Only one. It drove me nuts because I can't remember what was going on, but that was the week I was involved with the show because I was booked every night.
Let's see, Rocky 4 I think is the only one that I would really want to see in theaters, though, because 1 is a little slow.
We're seeing Punch a Tree in the Woods.
2 is really good. I love 2. 3 is Mr. T, and 4 is Drago. And that's the big like America versus Russian. Yes, and 4 the whole thing.
4 is the epitome of what an 80s movie is.
It's the greatest Rocky movie there is.
It has the 80s robot in it. I mean, honestly, I'm being honest here. Dolph Lundgren. I love the 2 training scenes where Rocky's out in the woods, cold woods.
Those have been
Rugged Man, Mountain Man.
Those have been spoofed endless a number of times.
Dolph Lundgren punches a bag, and a computer tells him how hard he hit it. I love man versus machine, nature versus machine. It is. So boomer. I love it. I love it.
What would be great is if they could.
I don't need no stinking computer to tell me how tough I am. I'm punching a tree.
I think
it's a great
what
movie.
else would be great is that You know how? Do you remember when DVDs like first came out and they were trying to convince people to spend $30 or whatever to buy the DVD, and they would put the old movie trailer on as like a special edition, like or something. They would add like, here's the trailers from the '80s that we had and stuff like that.
TV spots and stuff.
And it was great. And that would be something else I would love to see in the movie theater. Like start the movie and then show me the trailer maybe for it, the original trailer of it.
I could watch the entire Rocky Saga right now. I mean,
as a trailer,
no, like all the movies right now. I know they're talking about it. I just and the only good I think Creed are lower stepped movies. I don't know if you've seen Creed 1 and 2.
Not yet. They're high on my list.
The only thing they're good about is because 4 is a big issue.
Is it?
4 is a big. It's Creed's son.
Oh yes.
And so 4 matters. Well, in the first one, they just mention everything. I was like, that's nice. They mention everything. And then 5, they bring Drago back.
Yeah.
And Creed 2.
I think we talked about that briefly, and that was the reason.
I told you the reason I know that Creed 2 is not a good movie is because the only time you think it's at its best is when Rocky's there or Drago, and then when they meet together, it's honestly one of the best things I've ever seen Dolph Lundgren do. It's great. Their dialogue, their demeanor.
Sounds like Cobra Kai.
Oh, yeah, it really is.
We get bored when the kids are just in there. And
revisit it.
Even, you know what, even non-super fans, like my sister just watched Cobra Kai, or we're finishing through Cobra Kai, and she, outwardly gets really bored with the kid scenes.
Is it Kim?
Yeah.
Hi, Kim.
And hi, Kim. And she wants to see more Eagle Fang Karate.
I want to see more Eagle Fang Karate.
Give me more Johnny Lawrence and stuff.
By the way, I'm wearing my Eagle Fang Karate for anyone who's curious, which are not. They never. Do you listen to this podcast and wonder? I wonder what Matt's wearing today. It's Eagle Fang Karate.
Eagle Fang Karate shirt, and it looks
told
fantastic.
You I was going to get one on that podcast.
Yeah, and he did.
All right, so what's your number 3? No, wait, it's my number 3.
It's your number 3.
Batman.
The first Keaton Batman?
The first Batman movie, you're correct. Adam
No,
West, 66, baby. I watched this a billion times as a kid, and I thought it was, at the time, I thought it had to be the greatest Batman movie ever. Now, of course, 89 changed my mind.
Okay.
Because that was great. I just loved everything.
That was Keaton.
Yeah,
that was 89 was that movie.
And I would go see that one too. I'd go see that one too in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But holy cow, I just would to see the Adam West version. I think that has a better chance maybe of getting in theaters.
Could. You're right. That's probably a good point.
Because that'd be something that they could just throw out there, and I would love to see.
That would be great.
Because I'll be honest, I still think that Frank. I'm losing names tonight. Who played Riddler? Frank Gorshin is the best Riddler.
You really even all
the best Riddler. Burgess Meredith from Rocky is the best Penguin.
Wow.
I mean, he's just great. They just sell it. And Jorge Ramon, who's the Joker? Goodness gracious, my brain. I know these names too. He was Cesar Romero. He was a great Joker, except. He was the clown prince of crime, and he was happy. He's a happy Joker, but he does really well. You can hardly see the mustache being painted over because he refused to shave it.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, Julie Newmar wasn't available to do the movie, and that's a shame because Julie Newmar is. But they got goodness gracious, Meriwether. What happened to my brain here? I love this movie, Meriwether Lewis. No. Meriwether, what's her name? Anyway, but they got her, and she did a really fine job. In fact, I thought she was taking over as Catwoman, and I was happy to see Julie Newmar back.
Really?
And Eartha Kitt, who, by the way, Eartha Kitt did a great job, but I was pissed when I saw season 3 and it was Eartha Kitt. I didn't watch these when they came out, but I watched the reruns.
Sure.
And I was like, where is Julie Newmar?
I had no idea you were such an original classic Batman fan.
Have you seen that recently?
No.
It is a fan.
It
was made for kids, but they knew parents were watching.
And I've seen the painted on mustache or the painted over mustache, and how they knew that the televisions were just too small to notice any details like that, so it didn't matter. No.
And they knew the parents were watching, so they threw in jokes for the parents too. It's really
that's usually what
great.
I love about Pixar movies.
In fact, there's a great movie, the great scene in the movie, one of my favorite scenes actually in this Batman 66 movie, where he's got a big old bomb. I mean, it's the bomb with the big lighter at the. And it's big. He's having it 2 hands, and he's running around, and he runs around the corner, throw it away, but then there's a marching band. He can't throw it there, so then he runs around the other corner, and there's a bunch of nuns walking. Well, he can't throw it toward them,
towards the nuns.
And then he goes to the dock and tries to throw it over the water, but then he sees a school of ducks. And then he turns around and looks both ways and goes, some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. great. And then he runs into the band again, to the nuns again, to the ducks again, and then runs out of the way and somehow makes it. I don't know, but they have so many death-defying things go on. Like the Batcopter crashes, but it just happened to land on the house of styrofoam. And then Robin goes, "What were the odds, Batman?" He was, "I don't know, old chum, but I'm sure it would scare even the most riskiest gambler." It's just a great movie. I need to see that again. Okay, but I think that has a better chance. But I would see Keaton Batman all day.
Are there any other...
And Batman Returns.
Okay, I was about to ask you that. Are there any other Batman movies that you would watch? Now, do you remember the
Maybe Batman Forever.
Do you remember the big thing that happened with Batman Returns? I think Oprah walked out of the opening credits and it was a big stir. Because, the baby penguin gets thrown in. He's a baby, and he gets thrown away, basically. Yeah. And then the big stir, back when the movie came out, was Oprah saw that opening scene and got up and walked out of the movie. And they followed her. And it was a big stink, like PR problem. Because, Oprah was super powerful then, even.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And
I didn't know that.
She caused a big ruckus about it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw that movie with my dad, and I was kind of disappointed in it. Like, I don't know if I would want to be wanting to sit through Batman Returns a second time. I think
I saw Batman Returns. No, I think I saw Batman Returns on VHS because we had moved. 89 was we had moved that summer, so I missed the Batman. I mean, I got to see it on video, but I didn't see it in theaters. I don't think I saw Batman Returns in theaters, though I might have.
That would
and
be
I
cool,
know
then.
I saw Batman Forever in theaters. But anyway, Batman 66. There you go.
But they just had the Christopher Nolan trilogy came through, but you're not a fan of the Nolan trilogy.
No, probably the first one was okay. The second one was good.
Yeah.
And the third one was just garbage.
Mm.
And I was like, sorry, but anyway. Number 3.
Number 3 for me is cheating a little bit because it's the series, and I think honestly I
have a cheat on here
either
too,
playing somewhere or it recently did, and it's the Lord of the Rings series again. Because Return of the King is one of the ones that that movie broke my Star Wars record at the time, which was for most times I saw the movie in the theater was Return of the King. I went to see that one I think 6 times, and at the time my record was like 5 times for any movie. And so there's a big reaction off camera behind the microphone, ladies and gentlemen, towards my choice of the Lord of the Rings series from Matt Wilkins, and I'm really anxious to hear what it is.
I hate those movies.
I thought so.
I despise those movies.
I know because you adore the books, right?
I adore the books.
Yeah.
I cannot stand
and you
movies.
Can't stand the changes.
I watched each one in theaters with a friend of mine. I was just thinking about him today because we'd sit there because he loved the books too, and we would laugh at the changes and how awful they were.
Mm-hmm.
And from the book, I just don't know why you would deviate from a world-renowned best-selling author, and you think you have a better story, and you don't. But I know a lot of people did love it.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I personally could never get through the book. I tried
you
multiple
get your money's
times.
worth. That's $5 for 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I tried multiple times to read that book, and I just can't bring myself to finish it. And so, I remember I got as far as I just remember that he went on and on describing the smell that came up out of a well or something like that, and how it smelled so old and musky. And then I turned the page, and then he was still describing the smell of the well, and I just was like, I can't do this. So I couldn't. It's a slog, man, but it's a lovely slog.
How dare you?
But I know we disagree on that. But I would love to see the Lord of the Rings movies, and I think that they're playing actually somewhere right now. They may not be here, but they are playing those again because, of course, and this leads into what I was saying about I really hope that studios play things like Matrix 1 before Matrix 4, that they play things like Top Gun before the Top Gun remake. But Lord of the Rings has the TV show being made right now in New Zealand, and then there's talks of being made that they're looking at another movie, another full-on film with more Peter Jackson control. Because that's why he had to make The Hobbit into 3 movies, because he just wanted to do the 1, and then he got strong-armed into doing 2 movies, and then they announced him as a 2-parter, and then Warner Brothers came in and said, no, we're going to make it a 3-parter. And then Peter Jackson was like, they were done, I think, with principal filming and principal photography, and they had to stretch all this filler crap to fill in 3 movies, and that's why the Hobbit movies were like, ugh, come on. And they felt like the slog that reading the books can be, and it was rough. So, but anyway, that's adore the Lord of the Rings movies franchise, and so I think they're wonderful. But you don't have to come with me to see those.
I won't.
I won't. Number two
is one that supposedly played in Cinemark theaters, but not in ours. It was The Grinch. Benjamin and I, that's probably, I don't know, for me, it's my favorite Christmas movie.
Without question.
Yeah, and I would have died to have seen it back in theaters. I mean, I just think, and it wasn't playing in Cinemark because I was looking at what Christmas.
You were checking for sure.
I was checking every day to see what Christmas movies they had out, and they had some decent ones. Like it was just way too crazy. Me doing Scrooge, the Scrooge show, and then with every Christmas, season, we just couldn't get it. The week of Christmas, I had off. Everyone was working, and I wanted to go see.
And I was out of town.
Yeah, and I wanted to see 2 movies. Muppet Christmas Carol. I really wanted to see Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah. We saw Die Hard.
And then, no, there was another Christmas movie that came out. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Oh, Christmas Vacation.
And I would have loved to see both of those.
Yeah.
But there was no one to go. And so anyway, if they were playing The Grinch, it didn't matter. I'd be going by myself because I love The Grinch.
Yeah.
And I'm big, fingers crossed, they bring it back.
I really
because they never
so
brought.
too.
But when I saw the comeback classics playing at Cinemarks near you in certain select theaters, we had every movie except for The Grinch. They didn't bring The Grinch back.
Wow.
It's because he's green, isn't it?
It's because I'm green, isn't it?
But I would have loved to have seen it. So that's why it's number 2 on my list, folks.
Yeah.
That's how desperate I am to see that movie.
That you've seen literally 10 times minimum.
Every year.
Every single year
Every
since
year.
it's been
Don't
out.
miss it.
Yeah.
Every year for 20 years.
Yeah. You've seen it 20 times.
And
That's what we talked about.
It would have been awesome that my 20th viewing happened at the theater, just like the very first one did.
That would be pretty slick. Yeah, I think we've talked about that before, how that was such a big moment for me and how I saw that in the movie theater. And it was was in January when I saw it. And so it was in mostly empty theater. And I was laughing so hard, I embarrassed my sister and my girlfriend terribly.
It was early Christmas for us. I think we may have seen it just because it was Jim Carrey, I think, at first. But Bray and I were the ones who were laughing the hardest and sometimes at all.
Oh, my gosh.
And we thought the movie was, we were crying. We were laughing so hard. I remember getting out of the mall and just going, that was a billion times better. It's a great example of where they didn't ruin it in the trailer.
Yeah.
There's not that many scenes.
That's a good point.
There's not funny scenes. There's him doing action. There's this and that. And they have classic, Grinch scenes, but they save all the jokes. They save all the jokes.
That's a pet peeve of mine. Is that the same for you, that they give away the best parts of the movie in the movie trailers?
Shazam did that. Shazam gave every funny joke except for one.
Are you serious?
Yes. If you watch the Shazam
I never
trailer,
watched it. Because somebody told me that, I feel
just watch the trailer and you got every joke but one.
Wow.
Every joke but one.
Wow.
Because the rest of the movie sucks.
That really stinks. No, I have a thing where I will avert my eyes and stop listening to movie previews. Once they've got my money, or once I'm hooked, I'm like, I don't understand why certain movies feel the need to advertise, and why show me a Star Wars trailer when we're all going to go see it?
There's other people who do want to be spoiled, but the thing is, though, the trailer did not spoil anything.
That's cool.
It made it look entertaining. It brought the world of Seuss around. It brought some classic scenes, but it never ruined any of those excellent jokes.
Wow. And what's great is that at that time, when you were looking for that Christmas movie, I was in Orlando, and I went to Warner Brothers Studios.
Oh,
and they own Dr. Seuss.
Yes. Did you go to Grinch? Did they have Grinchman still?
Yeah. Yeah, they own.
We had a Grinch breakfast with
Universal
the Grinch.
Has that. Oh, do you have breakfast with the Grinch?
Oh, we did everything.
Oh, I don't know about all that. No,
it was the Grinch. Oh, yes, we went and had breakfast. We had green eggs and ham.
Yeah.
Yes, we did. It was green. Fun. They dyed it green.
Yeah,
kind of disgusting, but I ate it anyway. And it was a Seussical breakfast.
Yeah.
Lots of Jello.
I didn't know about. I don't think they're doing that.
All right, maybe a lot of things maybe not. The food's probably off limits right now.
Yeah. A lot of things, of course, are.
We did the breakfast with the Grinch. He was walking around talking to people, making fun of people. He was great. And then we saw the show. I mean, everything. And then I just hung out in Whoville. And
That's cool.
I wanted to hug the building.
The great part is that I didn't go. They had nothing like that going, but the actor was still being the Grinch.
I heard.
And now here's what's great is that I just came around the corner and I happened to see him out of the corner of my eye, and he had a megaphone in his hand and he was making fun of somebody that was walking by, and I saw him and I turned to stop, and I grabbed the person who I was with and I said, look, it's the Grinch. And they're like, what? Where? And by the time they actually saw, all they could see was a tuft of green hair disappearing around a corner, because he and I made eye contact, and he saw me, and that I was looking at him, and that I was trying to get someone's attention and we just eyeballed each other, and then he just went, high stepped it off behind the corner like as fast in character.
That's great.
It was really wonderful.
I would love to play the Grinch.
I'm almost happier that I had that one little fleeting moment. Was almost better than
if I could play anyone at Universal or Magic Kingdom, it would be the Grinch. We're talking over any Disney character. Wow. I'd love to play the Grinch. Wow. Honestly, bar none. I can't think of anyone else I'd want to play more.
What? I can't either.
I've never
really considered that.
To be fair, I would probably pick another. Well, okay, hold on. Universal has the best characters in a way. For me, they do, because you could be any superhero too. So let me get out, because I would love to be Spider-Man. I thought about that too. That'd probably be number 2.
Okay.
Number 3, let me think about this. I think also comes from Universal. What I'm curious about
is that I'm interested in the fact that you've given this a lot of thought.
Yeah, what mascots would I love to play?
Yeah, that's fantastic. I have never, because I love being up on stage, and I've been in a lot of plays, but I've never really daydreamed about that.
Oh, that'd be great. It's great. Number 3 would probably be...
Are we doing a top 5 mascots we want to play?
Oh, we should. Maybe I'm going to hold off now.
No, give it to me.
Woody Woodpecker. I loved him as a kid. I loved his movies as a kid. And I want to make him fun again.
All the superheroes you could be.
I could make Woody Woodpecker great again.
I don't know if I believe you.
Yes.
Wow.
Just a whole
and you can do the laugh.
Full of people.
You can do the laugh. Are you going to...
Well, that's not it. There's the next one in there, right? But you don't have to. You don't
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. You don't have to, because you're in a big costume, so you don't have to make a noise. You just do like this and do like this, which you can be funny.
Yeah.
And a mask. It's miming.
I think
it's the only escape from mimes these days.
And one of my favorite things to see at Universal is the Transformers, the Michael Bay massive size Transformers. And regular sized people in these giant Transformers.
Those look good too.
I'm so impressed with I don't like
those
the Michael
really
Bay
good.
Transformers,
and they make
movies.
noises too.
Yeah, and what's really great is they got Optimus Prime comes out, and then Megatron comes out, and Bumblebee comes out, and Bumblebee is my favorite, and not my favorite Transformer by any means, but he was my favorite actor at Universal, and I'll tell you why, is because Optimus and Megatron, they've got their catchphrases, right? And Megatron's going to try to scare all the little kids.
Yeah.
Optimus is the knight in the shining armor, the noble warrior kind of thing, right?
He's just speaking one,
he's got his stuff from the movies that he quotes basically, and Megatron's platitudes for Optimus and so forth. But Bumblebee can't speak, and he has to use music, and that's one of the most fun things to watch is what they choose depending on who comes up to take a picture with them in the line, because that's the line they do. They stand outside the giant Transformers building, and you've got half an hour where they can take a posed photo with you. And Megatron and Optimus, I did get a picture with Megatron, I think, the first time I went, and he tries to come up behind you and scare the crap out of you right as you're taking the picture, and so you get a frightened face, and you got Megatron in the background, which is great. But Bumblebee messes with people in the line. And if it's a kid, or especially if it's a girl or a pretty girl or something, and they take the picture and they walk away, he immediately will click on, "Baby, come back," and he's showing flirts with her and whatever.
That's great.
And all the little kids, everything, he was playing his 80s music, and he was dropping all these great references. And I was across the street. I wasn't in line. I was just across the street watching all the interactions, but I was getting all the jokes, because he was dropping songs from Say Anything with John Cusack, and he held up the boombox.
Oh, that's funny. That's great.
How classic is that? But no one in the line was getting what he was doing, and it hit me, and I'm dying. I feel like I'm watching the Grinch, by myself, or in the movie theater, and I'm the one laughing harder than anybody else in the movie theater, and people are laughing at me because I'm laughing so hard. That was my experience watching the Grinch. But then, similar when Bumblebee was making these great jokes and these great 80s references. I'm dying, and he looks up, and he's caught me from way across the street.
Yeah.
He made eye contact with me. He pointed at me. He said, "You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you get what I'm going.
That's fun.
You're picking up what I'm throwing down."
See, we can talk. We can do these. We can do these stuff.
Yeah.
Another one. Even though I'm looking through mascots right now, another one I just know off the top of my head. I mean, I'd work at Harry Potter World. You would too.
Oh, absolutely.
You would definitely be one of the wizards. Just a regular wizard. It didn't have to be it didn't have to be at the castle either.
No,
it can be anywhere.
You know what's really great about Harry Potter World though too is that if you're in Diagon Alley, they're not allowed to say they're in a house because one of the common questions is where's the bathroom. The second one is what house are you in? You know, for the actors who work there. And the ones in Diagon Alley they're not in a house. But I tend to favor XYZ, whatever house they choose. You know, I tend to favor Hufflepuff. You know, whatever. Yeah. I root for them in the World Cup. Yeah. But then over in the castle, they can specify a house if they chose. Yeah, I believe they can if they want to. And the ones who actually are in the castle can if they want to. So,
awesome.
Yeah, it's really slick. But I would love that. Oh my gosh, yeah.
Number 2.
Oh wow! Here we go.
I know we got off topic there.
We sure did.
Just because of Grinch.
You know,
Grinchmas
I'm getting to the end of my list, and I realized that I accidentally made a top 6. I didn't put a number next to them, and that's so fine. I just put Back to the Future.
Double doozy
is my next one up.
That was another one they did a triple feature of one whole day.
Did it one whole day? One day?
This was a few years back.
Okay.
And
so this was in not the comeback classics. This was when they were doing
this is when they do it as
the expensive ones. What is it called?
TMC or
that are more
AMC
planned.
movie classics or whatever.
Yeah.
But this was an all-day
marathon thing.
I
would love that.
I couldn't get a single person to go with me.
Dude.
This is back in the day. This is back before the pandemic. You were in Texas back then.
You know what? I would have come from Texas to see that with you that day.
Well,
I'm not even kidding. But because it would be like it's right in neck and neck with my number 2. I'm going to have to leave it as my number 3. But here's the thing. I have a good story about that that I remember. I remember seeing Back to the Future Part 2 in the movie theater, and I will never forget for as long as I live. The movie ends on the cliffhanger, right?
Yeah.
So he comes running out, and he sends him back to the future, and then he comes back. Marty comes running back out again, and he says, "Marty, what are you doing here? I just sent you back to the future." And he says, "No, Doc, I'm back. I'm back from the future." And then it's like to be continued, right? And I will never forget the collective groan that the audience did when the to be continued came on the screen. We were all like, no, you can't do that to us. Like, this movie was great, and you're going to end it like that? It was just a giant audible, like, everybody was so disappointed because we really enjoyed the movie. But then they ended like that.
Yeah.
It's like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
And then it was like, who knows how long it's going to be before the third one came
true.
out at that time. And we were just so... it ruined. It put such a sour taste that my dad didn't want to watch the second one again, despite the fact that it's one of the strongest, if not the strongest, movies in the whole series. I love Back to the Future Part 3, but I think if I had to pick one, if I was forced to pick one, it would be Part 2 because they take every single important moment from Part 1 and they put it back in the movie, and that it's actually relevant. And so people who have Part 1 memorized can adore Part 2 for everything that it has.
I have to go with the classic Part 1, but I love those films.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah, and I used to think 3 was my least favorite, and I'd rewatch it. Yeah, it's a really good one.
It's a different flavor, but it's great.
And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that they did different.
Yeah, it needed to be a different flavor.
It did, and I'm glad they did it.
Yeah.
All right. What was number 2 then?
Number 2 is E.T. In 1982, E.T.
Okay.
And that was simply because it's the first movie that I remember seeing in theaters. And I was 3 years old when I saw E.T. because I was born in 79.
Right on.
And
Steven Spielberg classic.
First movie I remember seeing. And I think I've talked about it before where I remember walking out of the theater with my dad and a couple other boys that were about my age, and they said, no, because we were all crying, we were like, oh my God, because E.T. leaves and everybody's just sobbing.
He didn't eat the whole bag of Reese's.
Yeah, that's right. And there's another movie memory that the collective groan from Back to the Future, and then everybody crying and sniffling in the movie theater during E.T. was revelatory to me. I didn't. These people are crying. I'm 3 years old, and I remembered that, and 3.5 years old, I guess. But I remember them asking my dad, who's a very stoic man. He's, did you cry at the end? And he says, "Ma, I got some tears in my eyes, whatever." And then I was like, "Oh, my dad was crying too, And
we need to go watch the Rocky IV montage again.
But I remember that, but I did watch E.T. again fairly recently on a very small screen at a friend's house because they either hadn't seen it or had only seen it once, and I was like, "Are you kidding? We have to watch this." I was really surprised. I was expecting it to be, older 80s movie, and it's got a nice premise, but I was not expecting it to be as good as it is.
Spielberg, it was shot well.
Exactly. And it's very much like how Indiana Jones, the first Indiana Jones, holds up so well, is because it's shot so well.
It's shot so well.
That's what blew my mind about E.T.
That's what can save a movie for generations.
Incredible how good E.T. still is.
Yeah.
And just absolutely lovely movie. So that's my number 2.
Number 1's a cheat for me.
Oh, another cheat. 2 podcasts in a row.
It's a cheat.
Fine.
A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. Since Empire came out last year, I want to see them both. I saw Empire again, and I'm glad my friend took me.
How much crossover did we say we had? Just one?
I said 1.
And
you
I
said
had
0.
Return of the Jedi as my number 1.
You did?
I sure did.
Shut up.
Of all the movies we could choose, because Empire...
Only because when watching Empire, I wanted to watch all of them
I was
again.
so excited.
I wanted to see the whole
Empire
trilogy.
was wonderful. I loved seeing it in theaters.
And to be honest, Lucasfilm has nothing better to do with their time. Just bring out all 3. Bring out all 3.
Man,
seriously, they should.
I'm telling you,
I'd go to see them all.
adored, and it was the cleaned up, nice, crisp version of Empire.
And
it was the DVD or the Blu-ray remaster or whatever.
It was beautiful. It was fun to look at.
So
it was
good.
beautiful. It was beautiful.
So
I loved it.
If we, because the big argument is which version of the movie, and now naturally we don't want the remastered.
We want the original
edits,
version, but we're not going to get that.
No. Is Bob Iger and them Kathleen Kennedy said that the only version that exists is the BS version?
I'm sure right now it's tied up in rights, right? Doesn't Fox still own the rights till? Oh, I don't know. That may be expiring. There was an issue. The reason why they couldn't get the original whatever is because it still has distribution rights.
Really?
With I don't know, but they bought Fox now, so I guess they own those rights. So now they can do it whatever they want.
If you can't join them, buy them. If you can't beat them, buy them.
But Lucasfilm does have the original, reels.
Do they?
Oh yeah, they do, because it came out on a DVD. No, everyone forgets this. One of the DVD releases, one of the billion of DVD releases of Star Wars, came out with the original versions as the B-side.
Oh, that's cool.
Or no, as an extra bonus disc.
I remember that.
Now it wasn't cleaned up. It's the regular,
it's the
old
original
TV looking version.
Whatever.
It's the old. But to be honest, it's great.
And they've got this great project going with the guy who's remastering them all for 4K, and he,
I've talked to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And.
Yeah. No, I mean,
it's a great
lot
project.
Of dedication.
A lot of dedication. A lot of time.
They've been doing that for years.
Yeah, it's been a long time working. And I remember that. And I need to go ahead and go through the process of watching them again. Because I haven't seen the 77 Star Wars, like the unaltered.
I haven't seen it in over a decade.
I've seen, the unaltered whatever. It's like the VHS tapes that got thrown
those
away.
I haven't seen in forever either. Because, I mean, last time I watched them, it was the Blu-rays when they came out.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like VHS was the last one that was the original copy that we grew up with, right?
Yeah.
And so
maybe that's what we'll do. We'll watch the original DVD versions.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd love that. But that is that one, and honestly, my number one, if I had to choose between New Hope and Jedi, it would be Jedi.
It's obviously Jedi for me too, because of Ewoks.
Yeah, clearly. And if anybody who's seen anything of your channel is that. But
Leia.
That's just another movie memory that I have with my dad is the two
metal bikini.
I very clearly remember the two logs coming down to crush the AT-AT or the ATST and it exploding, and like little 5-year-old me is just like crazy about that.
I thought I was going to get my first R rating when you held up your hands like this and said the two.
Shut up. No, the Ewoks didn't do anything for me even as a 5-year-old.
Really?
No, I didn't get it.
Egad, son.
I wasn't a fan.
You need to reevaluate.
But a lot of people hate the Ewoks. A lot of people loathe the Ewoks. I never saw the reason for the hatred and the anger against them and everything. I'm like, they're fine. They're a funny character. They're great. They're lovable. They're cute. But even I was the target audience when the movie came out, and I didn't care about the Ewoks. Like, I was more interested in the ATSTs and blowing up and the logs and everything and the lightsabers. Like, give me the green lightsaber and
cool.
stuff. That's
cool.
what I wanted. The Emperor doing his thing and in his power. Like, what? That was fantastic. But
I don't know what you just said, but you just triggered it. It was Lee Merriweather who was Catwoman in the movie. Okay, all right. So I'm sorry, I don't know what you just said.
I'm really happy I was able to bring this.
Something said Lee in there, and I was like, Lee Merriweather. That was her name. It just hit me. I don't know where it was, but somewhere in the past minute. Anyway,
so there's our top 5, ladies and gentlemen. What would you like to see in the top 5 comeback classics? Let's try to get Cinemark and everybody else on the hook here to actually listen to us.
Honestly, let us know in the comments.
You know what? My honorable mention as well. Yeah, I would love to hear people's ideas for the comments on these.
I would probably agree with a lot of them.
My honorable mention is the Top Gun, but I think we already mentioned it as the reason why, because I want to see Top Gun. But the other thing, the reason it didn't make my top 5 because I've seen it as a comeback classic, but this was also about 10 years ago or so when I saw it. And I bought aviator sunglasses. My whole group, we all bought aviators just so that we could walk into the mall and go see it, so that everybody knew what we were here to see, and we were all wearing like jackets and aviator glasses, and that was it. And then we walked in and we loved every second of it. It was fantastic. I got to see it with Brad. Comeback classic. Yeah.
Y'all took the highway to the danger zone.
We did. We played some volleyball afterward, and really had a good time. We had the need.
Oh man, that's awesome. For speed, man, and you never lost that love and feeling. So
I never did. No.
Shoot,
yeah.
All right, Ice Man.
We could do a top 5 things we want to see in Top Gun 2 or Top Gun Maverick, rather.
Probably do that.
That would be
probably need to end the podcast first.
Oh yeah, we should do that. Hey. So we'll see you next time on
Saturday
morning.
Samoflange. Woohoo!